Fans of the Andy Griffith Show know that Elinor Donahue's time as Miss Ellie Walker in Mayberry was far too brief. After the first season, Elinor, citing a lack of chemistry between her character and Sheriff Andy Taylor, asked to be let out of her contract. I'm going to talk about that request in depth and share a recent discovery of mine that leads me to believe that Miss Ellie didn't have to leave Mayberry after all. But hey, before I get too far into this video, I want to state for the record just how much I adore the Andy Griffith Show. It's one of those programs that during these tumultuous times provides me with a bit of an escape, even if it is for just 30 minutes. So you get it, right? I love the Andy Griffith Show. I'm a huge fan. And when it comes to this whole the two characters didn't have any chemistry argument, I'm going to say that I very much beg to differ. And to make my case, I'd point you to the Christmas episode from that first season, where Andy and Elinor sing Away in a Manger together. Such a beautiful duet. It really is a very precious moment from that show. And yes, during that first season, the characters of Andy and Ellie would sometimes find themselves at odds with each other, but even then, I feel like the two did have chemistry. Sure, there was an age difference between the actors and the characters on screen, but you know what? Chemistry doesn't always have to be romantic chemistry. Truthfully, I would have loved to have seen Miss Ellie stick around, even if ultimately she and Andy had just ended up as friends. During an appearance at Mayberry Days in 2010, Elinor Donahue confessed that there was another reason why she left the show. Simply put, she was not a happy camper. So she went to her manager and told him that she just couldn't continue. It was all too much. I believe at the time Elinor was just a young woman in her mid-20s, and if I'm not mistaken, she was also newly divorced and raising a child. So her manager did what any good manager would do, and he got her out of the contract. Now here's the part of this video where I get to the good stuff, where I share what I recently discovered that now leads me to believe that if things had played out just a little bit differently, Elinor would not have left the show. This discovery came while watching another video right here on YouTube. It's a compilation of clips where the Andy Griffith Show cast members share their memories of that very special program. And in that video, this is what Elinor said about her choice to leave.
I asked to be let out of the contract because I didn't feel that I was doing my best. And I was going through some personal problems at the time. And they accepted my leave taking from the show, which kind of hurt my feelings. I had hoped they'd say, oh, please. But they didn't.
Would you have stayed if they had?
Probably.
In the same interview, Elinor goes on to say that at the time, she just so badly needed to be wanted, inferring that if Andy or anyone else associated with the making of the show had just said 3 simple words, "We need you," she would have stuck around and finished her contract. Regardless of what happened, Elinor relishes the time that she spent on that classic television show and has returned to Mount Airy for Mayberry Days more than once over the years. By the way, no one does a better job of documenting Mayberry Days and all things related to the Andy Griffith Show than Alan Newsom. Aside from being an awesome Floyd the Barber tribute artist, Alan, week after week, delivers fascinating information about the Andy Griffith Show on his 2 Chairs No Waiting podcast. In fact, the Q&A session where Elinor talked about not being a happy camper came from one of his podcasts. So if you don't subscribe to podcasts on your smartphone, I'd recommend checking out his YouTube channel as he posts each podcast episode there as well. I think it's important to share that neither Elinor or Andy ever said anything bad about each other over the years. Even though she left the show after the first year, they had immense respect for each other's work. They were, and in Elinor's case, they are, true class acts. Hey, huge thank you to all those folks who have clicked on that little join button and become supporting channel members, along with advance access to videos and exclusive live streams. they have my complete appreciation. And to everyone else who watched this video all the way to the very end, thank you so very much. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like or maybe even subscribe to the channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff.